Okay, I have one microphone here in the car and one in the trunk to get an exhaust audio. So we're gonna do a quick test drive here. Okay, we're gonna do a quick visual condition report. Now we're looking for scuffs, scratches, chips, dings, any cosmetic imperfections, and we will have the full build list on this car on the website. Of course, it is on air ride and it is completely bagged out right now on the ground. So this is the lowest setting. So of course here on the fender, it has sustained some damage. You can see it's cracking on the paint and some spots have chipped off. The rest of that edge looks good, and that looks good. Here on this wheel, you have some chips, some curb rash, very minor curb rash around the edge. Got the red calipers. You have a handful of rock chips here. This is faded just a little bit. Got the carbon side skirts. Got a few rock chips on this A-pillar. Got the satin mirrors, they look good. There's a small scuff here. That door looks good. When we make our way down here, you do have PPF on that section protecting it, but this has sustained rock chips and rock impacts. And then you have some here on the upper side. You got some chips throughout. Looking at this side skirt, you do have a little scratch here. Overall though, it looks really good. This quarter panel looks clean. Looking at the edge here, I don't see any damage. You do have some scratches on the wheel. And then you have the carbon trunk here, and that looks really nice. Okay, now looking at the front end, starting with the top side here, you do have a large chip right there. And you have some larger ones here. Got one right there. Got some scuffs. A couple more chips. And they're just kind of peppered throughout this front end. Here on the lower side, you're going to see more. And then on this lower section, you're going to see them all throughout. And the same on this side. They're just going to be peppered all throughout this area. Looking at the splitter here. That feels good. I don't feel any rash. That looks nice and clean. I'm not seeing any damage on it, so that looks perfect. And then here on the gloss black, you're going to see a lot of rock impacts. Some of them have chipped, but overall that looks good. And then on the hood here, you can see some of the orange peeking through from rock impacts. Overall, it looks really nice. And then looking at the engine bay, overall looks nice and clean. That filter looks good. You do have a little bit of wear on the red here on that CAMARO logo. But other than that, this looks nice. The underhood liner looks perfect. Here on the driver fender, you do have a large chip there. And then you can see the edge of this is chewed up a little bit. And there is some material here on the wheel. You can see it's kind of flaking off. It's chipping away. A larger section here as well. And there is rash throughout the wheel. And you can see the dark, kind of burned look to it. Here on this fender, the rest of that looks good. A-pillar looks nice. We do have a chip right here on the edge. That mirror looks good. And then here on the door edge, there's a chip. And then this section, you can see it's chipped up pretty good. And then you have one here on that lower side. There's a large rock chip right there, a little imperfection. Same thing here, you're going to have the PPF, but then you're going to have the rock chips and rock impacts kind of peppered in this area. The rest of that quarter panel looks good. Here on this wheel, you have chipping throughout. A lot of it's been touched up. You can see a lot of chips in here. And then that edge is perfect. And then checking out the back, starting with the taillights. Those look good. I see some scuffs here and possibly a chip right there. The rest of all that looks good. Here on the bumper, we do have a scratch right there. Overall, it looks like everything else is nice and clean. Then here on the trunk lid on the underside, overall looks good. It's Anderson Composites. Then here's your compressor setup, nice and clean. All right, looking at the interior, it is a non-smoker. We have a little gash right here. A couple minor scuffs, but otherwise this panel looks good. This trim looks nice. That bolster looks good. Overall, that one's clean. Now the Alcantara here on the back side looks really good. Here on the bottom, it is matted down and really shiny, so it doesn't have that nice soft look anymore. Then the steering wheel is matted down as well from just everyday driving. Got the heads-up display. That screen looks good. Air vents look nice. The shifter, all the Alcantara here is matted down as well. Got the carbon. Here on the passenger door panel, overall that looks nice and clean. That kick plate area looks good. That bolster looks nice. Same here. And then this Alcantara is nice and smooth. That seat looks really good. This side of the dash is nice. You do have some scratches and gashes right there on the edge of the glove box. And all the carbon here looks good, as well as the upper side of the dash. It's very dark back here. It's hard to see, but I'm not seeing really any imperfections that stand out on these seats. They look good.